Morning, everybody. Today is 25th day in the month of May 2022. My name is Heritage Adisa, Markets Analyst at HFM Nigeria. Quickly, as usual, check through the markets, find out what the overall sentiment is, if they provide opportunities, and then how we can take advantage of it. But please always remember that this is just a communication material and nothing in this communication contains or should be considered as investment advice or investment recommendation. Users acknowledge that investment in FX and CFA products is characterized by a certain degree of uncertainty, and that any investment of this nature involves a high level of risk for which the users are solely responsible and liable. What we have this morning in terms of the overall environment is a more mixed start. You look across the marketplace and then you notice that most of the asset classes are moving, very disjointed and not really in sync, right? There's been lack of heavy, strong catalysts. For example, yesterday we had the RBNZ meeting. We'll talk about that now. But generally, there's been that, yes, central banks have been hiking, but there's trouble coming in when it comes to, economy slowing, global economic slowdown, right? Central banks hike, able to curb inflation. There's just so much what ifs, what's going on, ifs around the market. And then you see that push and pull really continue. It's been like that for the entire week, actually. But so far today, the mixed flows are still very evident. And then we have FOMC meeting minutes, later in the day. Equity market starts mostly mixed, started a little bit higher, now mostly lower, across board. So we have that choppy flow. Bond yields are mostly mixed as well. Some up, some down. Measures volatility, some up, some down. When I wrote this, the VIX was also net unchanged. Haven't really done anything, right? Commodities are also mixed. We have oil prices trading mostly ups and downs as well, even in small ranges. You look at iron ore, coal, all of them just moving all over the place, right? In FX as well, we also have a mixed flow where safe haven currencies are mostly trading all over the place as well. Similar story with the high beta currencies. NZD leads though, and then the euro is the one that lags the most amongst the majors. Why is the NZD strong this morning? Earlier today we had the RBNZ meeting, the interest rate meeting, the monetary policy meeting, and then they increased interest rate by about 50 basis points, which is what markets expected. But they even went on to say that going forward, they are projecting to increase the rate at even a faster level, to above the neutral level. And that was even seen as even more hawkish than what they've been recently, which is a good input for the New Zealand dollar, right? Compared to other central banks, like even the RBA, which are far behind in rate hikes, compared to the BOJ, compared to even the SNB, which is still in negative rates, even the ECB would have not hiked yet. That interest rate differentials are getting even higher. So we need to pay attention to the NZD on the back of that. But NZD jumped on the back of that and has remained at the top of the majors since then. Alongside the NZD, you have the pound and the US dollar also following suit on the top side. But key to note is the GBP and the USD are the moves that we're seeing so far are barely pullbacks, are mostly pullbacks rather, right? Because you look at the downside we had in the pounds yesterday, where apart from even that, where we had negative data, weak data as well out of UK, and then there's also been so much strain in the UK economy. The BOJ they've been hiking rates, but it's really not having that effect that they would like, where mixed the strain in the economy. Apart from that, we've also had political stress as well, right? When we talk about the party during the lockdown with PM Johnson, and then there's an article scheduled to come out again today. So all of that is still very much a negative for the British pound. So despite the fact that we're seeing so much strength, I'm still looking for higher levels to sell the pounds from. So there's that. The US is also off the back of fresh 2 weeks downside after hitting the low from last month. I think last month around the 26th of April, thereabout, around 101.60. So after hitting that support level, we are seeing some form of pullback, which is not really a surprise. On the weaker side, the euro lags the most, weakest amongst the major effects. Around downside, well, we want to also look at the euro as well. We've also had that expectations ECB tilting more hawkish, more positive. That has also helped the euro in terms of recent strength. So the weakness that we're seeing today is pairing most of those gains. So in as much as we have that, I'm really not feeling a jump in on what we're seeing right now, but it's there. And then we have JPY also follow suit on the downside, right? AUD CHF card are mostly somewhere in the middle there, so we don't really have much on those particular currencies. Now, I said the push and pull for the week continues, right? Markets are trying to figure out which way next. Really, there's still so many things happening, but nothing really tangible enough. We still had talks from Russia and Ukraine, where Ukraine President Zelensky said that the only talks that he would like to go into would be with President Putin, right? And the major topic would be ceasefire, particularly stopping the war, but that hasn't really come into play. There's really been nothing tangible coming out of there. COVID cases in China, yeah, still remains there, but the story has not really been headline right now. And then there's really not been anything major that markets, in terms of tier one markets moving heavy catalyst, major drivers for market. But one thing I have at back of my, you see, this new renewed hawkishness by the RBNZ keeps the New Zealand dollar strong. Right? At least that trend should continue for a couple of sessions. Right now, yes, we could get pullbacks, but I expect to see further strength in the New Zealand dollar. I'm still bearish on the British pound. The British pound overall weakness has not really changed. Looking at pounds, NZD, we'll look at that now in a bit. In terms of strength and weakness for today's session, Euro NZD bounces off a key support level, key support trend line, right? Coming back from, I think, April 27, I meant. April 27 around 1.64, April 27 around 1.64, while Euro pound also breaks through 0.853 key support area, right? Heading towards 0.85. And on the calendar, we have a couple of central bank speakers, BOJ Governor Kuru down the wires, Fed's Brainerd also on the wires, even the ECB President Lagarde also on the wires. Later, we have quadruple goods for the US. We should want to see how the numbers come out, and then we have the FOMC meeting minutes later in the day. All right, now quickly looking across board, like I was saying, you look at equities, for example, right? First of all, today's session, we started down, went up, we come down again, mostly chopping moves in today's session. This is the JP25. We look at the major ones on the US side. I mean, this is barely nothing, right? Compared to the kinds of swings that we've had over the last couple of sessions. Right now, we're struggling with this key area of support, right? Also turned resistance. So clearly there's that to pay attention to. There's been massive downside in equities on the back of all the major themes. Global economic slowdown, we've had central bank tightening, we've had high inflation, right? All of this. And even yesterday, we had reports from the tech industry, particularly Snap, where they were also very concerned about what the global macro environment has done to business as well. So all of that doesn't really bode well for equities, bode well for risk assets, and it's what we're seeing currently on the day. The VIX. Right now, the VIX is also bouncing off this key area of support. You can see this overall support trend line coming back from 18th of May all through basically. Yeah, we broke down below it a little bit, but now we're back above it. Clearly, as long as you keep above this trend line, is not a good news for equities. So there's that to pay attention to. Oil prices have really not done anything. I mean, today's session basically barely moved an ounce, really nothing done in today's session. And then you're seeing still within yesterday's ranges, similar with Monday's ranges, Friday's ranges, and then we're still trading flat here, where indecision is still a major theme around markets. But one thing you want to also pay attention to is if you look at a fib from the highs of 18th of May down to the lows, right? We're currently struggling around this 61.8 level. So, I mean, just a key area of support you want to pay attention to, or resistance as well, right? You can see areas here, even going back way back towards 16th of May. So you want to also be watchful at levels like that. Now, crossing over to strength and weaknesses of currencies, we could talk about NZD being strong, but most of those moves have seen some solid pullbacks. For example, if you look at, pound versus NZD, right? We had a massive flush to the downside in terms of the RBNZ. We've seen a lot of pullback, about 50% retracement on this one, right? Let's see. Oh, the 50% retracement. Let me see if I can make this cleaner so we can see a little bit clearer. All right. Now, basically, a 50% retracement level on this one. I still want to sell this pair, but let's see. How would we like to look at this? How would we like to play this? Now, you see this key overall support level around here, right? The lows going back to 23rd of May, similar story on the 24th, very early start as well of the 25th, right? That would provide an interesting level for me. Apart from that, even go back a bit, you also notice that we're also very close to the highs back to the 15th of April thereabout. So I would like that level, right? There's the massive push higher we're seeing. I'm not getting carried away by it, but this region right here could be an interesting one for me in terms of further, downside. Don't forget that we're saying that we're seeing strength in the British pound this one. Normally, you shouldn't pair strength versus strength. So I'm only looking at this on a longer term basis based on the overall weakness in the pound and the current strength in the New Zealand dollar. So there's that potential to looking for further downside on this particular one, right? Euro NZD, also an interesting one in terms of today's session. Yes, strength in the New Zealand dollar weakness in the euro, broken clearly below. This is 1.65, and I will pull back to this key previous support level right around that same area, right. So I mean, that's also an interesting one to look out for in today's session. Yes, could we continue lower? Yes, we should, right. But could we get a deeper pullback towards this other 1.655, also a key level of support? Yes, we could. But you see, the overall mixed environment is just making all these moves a little bit tricky. That is why, being patient would not really be a bad idea as well in today's session. The dollar right now, yeah, I was going to mention this. Okay, I think I already mentioned this. Euro NZD. All right, now I was talking about it just not long, Euro NZD right now. Apart from that as well, there's also this key support trend that I want to also call our attention to, right? Which comes back from the 27th of April, which I was trying to see on that, that article. And then you see it bounce off, bounce off, bounce off, and now we bounced off it. And then apart from that, we're also heading towards, instead of having to look out for this level, which would be interesting, clearly support, support, support. But I think I would really prefer a pullback towards this overall level here around 1.655, right? 50% retracement level from the total move so far today. Apart from the fact that we've already broken through the overall, peeps, average peak movement expected for today is 175. We've already hit 244 already. So I mean, this is already extended. So if you can get a pullback, deeper pullback towards this yesterday's euro low, as well as even this key area of support there, round number there, 50% retracement levels here as well. That could be interesting for me. Could it come down from here? Absolutely. Why am I waiting for a deeper pullback? Well, this one carries more conviction, and the overall mixed environment so far is making it a bit tricky for me. On the calendar today, it's a light one. I mean, in terms of tier one data, yes, it's a light one. Yes, we're expecting durable goods orders and the core numbers as well for the US. There is that. Also, FOMC meeting minutes expected out. Could there be any changes? Well, we want to see how that plays out. Let's see how that plays out. Apart from that, we also have, bank holiday as well in Europe, right? In anticipation or in line with the Ascension Day. Then we also have a couple of central bank speakers. We have Brainerd from the Fed. We have ECB Lagarde, even BOJ Governor Kruger on the wire. So overall, it's a mixed environment. Yes, NZD still keeps being strong, right? But the moves are still marginal and messy. When you have environments like this, nothing says you shouldn't be more patient and wait out for something more clear cut and high probability entry level. All right, that's it for now. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask, and we'll do our best to help. Thank you. Do enjoy the rest of the trading session. Bye for now.